half a man's problem.
That cannot be true,
Half
actually. Half of the infertility problems in families are because the men have a problem.
Yes, 50% of the time.
You're going against the writings of so many books and history and what culture really takes it to be.
Yeah.
We think that it should be the women.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate in our culture. We've always put the burden of childbearing on the women, and we forget that women can't make their own children. We need to also play a significant role in creating by providing the sperm that fertilizes the egg. So if a woman is not pregnant, it is either a problem with her sister or a problem with her female partner. As such, now we know that us men and the men out there who are listening, we play a significant role in whether we get children in our relationships or not. So if you're having no child and you've been together for more than 12 months with frequent sexual intercourse, you need to go for assessment as a couple.
You see. So, by the way, I'm trying to remember my biology a little. How exactly does...
Biologically, male.
Okay.
Not a person who just identifies as.
So they have male sexual organs.
Male sexual organs. Whether
naturally.
or not, yes. Whether or not they identify as male.
Okay.
So God created us in a very unique way in that we, at one point in time during our development, we have the capacity to make copies of ourselves. But God kept it a secret as to how it can be done. Instead, what he did was to share the responsibility between the man and the woman. Where without a woman, you cannot make your own children as a man, and without a man, a woman cannot make her own children. So we have, call it blueprints, half, the man has a half, which is located in a sperm. Okay. So the sperm is what you would call the male cell, because forming babies is all about making a cell. So the male cell that is responsible for contributing all your being, we call it the bricks of yourself to your offspring. And for the female, it is what we call the egg, which also contains a brick, call it the being of the woman and what contributes to our offspring.
So one contributes half,
the other contributes half to make a whole.
So it cannot get complete unless these two get together.
Thank you very much.
1 plus a half.
Yes.
That's a half. That's primary mathematics.
Yes.
1.
Equals 1. Yes.
Okay. Though sometimes you can get twins. I think that's a discussion.
That's a discussion for another
day.
Yes.
Since you're the specialist, you will be back here for that. We know that there are global statistics that talk about infertility in male and females. I don't know how the situation is in Uganda, and maybe in your personal experience. How many of these couples are you finding that they're really having problems with?
Okay, so so what we look at in sub-Saharan Africa, for which we are a member, they would say 1 in 6 couples. You know, when we talk about infertility, it's not always good to define it as either a male, number of males with infertility, or number of females. Remember, you need 2 to make 1. Therefore, we will define it as couples. Okay. Man and woman trying to conceive, regardless of where the issue is. 1 out of 6 couples. So definitely, me and you and all the viewers here know someone who's having challenges.
I think that's really true.
Yes.
That's true, and so it's a common problem, really. And what are some of the reasons why people may have these challenges? I know there are those that get the so-called unwanted pregnancies, and there are those that will take their lifetimes seeking to get pregnant. What is the reason that some people may fail to conceive or make their partners conceive? So
focusing on the male, usually, as I defined earlier, that you need to provide the sperm, which we call the nkwasi in local dialect, to be able to contribute to making that baby, considering that your female partner contributes the egg, which is the other half. Anything that can prevent the sperm from reaching the egg. If it's on the man's side, look at it this way. If if you fail to produce the sperm,
Okay.
if the sperm fail to go through those reproductive ducts,
So there's a blockage.
there's a blockage,
infection,
yes, or maybe you are
trauma.
born without the ducts. Yeah,
Oh.
it can also be possible.
Oh.
Yes. And then when they reach, there's a significant number that you require. Remember, there's a way in which God was creating us. He made sure that he makes us adapt. Yes, we produce millions of sperm. In fact, men produce several millions of sperm.
At any one time, they actually release so many.
There should be millions of sperm.
And I remember that dash where so many of them,
Yes.
clouds,
Yeah, because
and they begin the race.
yes, because God said we choose the best. So it's actually a competitive selection.
I see.
100 million sperms, but only one is going to fertilize that egg.
So if you produce few already, it means you're disadvantaged.
Yes, because the battle towards the egg is a hostile one.
Survival for the fittest.
Thank you very much.
We are back to the jungle.
Yes. So if you're not successful at anything in life, at least know you were the chosen sperm.
I am almost finding that one strong languages. Yes, we are the chosen people. And thanks for watching the Doctalk show. We hope you're enjoying it already. And we are seeing your questions coming in already. After this short break, we shall be tackling them. Follow us on our Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube pages, the Doctalk show, soon after this break.
The Ministry of Health informs the general public that amidst the difficult times of the pandemic, routine immunization for all children under 5, those eligible for HPV vaccines, and women of childbearing age is still going on in all our health facilities. Parents and caregivers, take all your children for immunization as per their schedule. All vaccines are safe, effective, and free. Remember to observe the COVID-19 prevention measures as you go for immunization services. Wear a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose. Wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water or use an alcohol-based sanitizer. Maintain a physical distance of at least 2 meters from others and avoid crowds. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from partners.
You are watching the Doctalk show. You are watching the Doctalk show.
Welcome back, Dr. Jagenda Joseph Ogavu, your host tonight, and with me is Dr. Anthony Kaila from Life Sure Fertility Center, located on Mawanda Road. People may wonder whether you're doing this for some other reasons. Do you feel that you're helping many Ugandans? Have you helped many?
Yeah.
Are there couples that have really gotten that joy back? Gotten that baby that's
At Life Sure Fertility Center, we've been operational since 2008, and to date we have at least 1,000 babies. 1,000 babies born through various treatments.
So you've helped people get that baby?
Yes, male or female or a combined problem. As long as a couple is having challenges, our main role is to complete families and make them happy.
Good. You're not alone, and there's help around. The specialist is here, and we've known where he is located. So, Anthony, we were still talking about some of the things that could cause a male to be unable to deliver that sperm or deliver sperm that is defective. You had some more on the list for us.
Yeah, so talking about issues that can occur with the male, we may look at how is the sperm really formed. So we have an organ in our brain, call it a gland, something that produces hormones.
Hormones are the medium through which the body receives instructions.
Yes.
And the brain has a master organ there.
The master organ, call it the master message sender.
Okay.
Yes, and it integrates and also releases signals to different organs. So the main role that is played here is that it tells the organs, the testes, to produce the sperm. If you have any problem, either at the master gland itself in the brain or along the way, and the messages cannot reach the testes, you'll also not get sperm. During production of the sperm, we need the testes to function appropriately. Call the testes your factory. So the factory will have what they call the raw materials, you'll have the machines that mix the raw materials, you'll have the conveyor belts that move material 1 to material B or C, and then to improve on the quality of the product, or adding quality.
Including where the factory is situated.
Yes.
Because you may put it in the wrong place.
Yes, definitely. If it is in the wrong place, this one occurs usually in children, if they are born and the testis has not gone down into the scrotal sac.
And I know ladies, if it's a man, that's where they first check. They first check whether the goods are there. They will not settle until they see them.
You want to be sure the factory is not
Send us a message if you think we are not telling the truth.
Yes. You have to be sure the factory is not in a wetland,
Yeah.
and it is located on farm ground, and in the scrotal sac. And if anything happens in the factory, as Dr. Gav was alluded to, whether it's not in the right location or the workers are not paid on time, or the workers go on riot.
So the conditions are not safe. You're talking about things like excessive alcohol.
Yes.
Is there a role for tobacco?
Yes, excessive alcohol intake can be significant. But you see, most of these things are not absolute. Not everyone taking alcohol doesn't have kids.
So,
you see that?
Yeah, sometimes you have a small problem, and then when you add,
thank you very much. You have a small problem, and then you add on it. For example, a person who already has slightly reduced number of sperm, if they drink alcohol, it will probably reduce to a level where they can't even have children. Smoking, I would say, is the number one on the list. Excessive smoking, that one, several research papers have shown.
What does it do exactly?
So
if you don't convince us, we shall not leave that.
You see, smoking, smoking cigarettes, smoke, this tobacco smoke, there are certain components in it that enter your bloodstream, and they seed everywhere in your body. The
Without
testis,
any limit.
yes, the testis is not what?
Excluded.
Is not excluded from this. When they seed there, they cause significant damage, either to the cells that produce the sperms or to the cells that support production of the sperms. Indeed, most of my men, when I ask about smoking, and they do smoke, it is not surprising that you find the semen analysis is very poor. I've mentioned something there, semen analysis, but we'll come back to it.
So tobacco causes problems with the blood vessels, and this factory needs a good supply of blood and all the other nutrients. So when you block them, then no wonder the testes can actually get these challenges.
Yes.
Does staying in the desert confer a risk?
No, it doesn't.
Compared to staying
actually,
because there are people that want to keep their things very cold,
no.
So that they get supercharged.
No. The birth rate in the desert areas has never been very different. In fact, people say in sub-Saharan Africa, we have almost the highest total fertility rate. That is God-given fertility rate. So you would expect that because of heat. No, the issue about heat and sperm production, I would say it is more of a contentious issue. It is not absolute. Neither of it is actually proved. Some people I find saying, don't put your children in tight underpants. No, not really, not really. If many of the times it's just a coincidence.
In fact, some men in the villages have not put on that underwear. The rest of their life,
so excessive heat is a contentious issue. You know, one time the study in China found that men who put on tight underwear had slightly lower sperm counts. But if you look at their data, even the lower sperm counts were still enough to get a woman pregnant. So I would say, if someone has low sperm counts, do not accuse your wardrobe. It is probably not the problem. Yes.
But if you have a problem already, you probably don't want to add the contentious issue. You can do well without.
I will not be quoted as encouraging people not to put on their tight underwear.
All right. So, and can anything be done to actually stop some of these processes, or when it's done, it's done?
So, still going on to why this happens. People, things like smoking, alcohol intake, obesity, excessive weight gain. It also plays a significant role in reducing the number of sperms that you. So, lifestyle changes that you can have. One, if you're smoking, you have to quit. If you're taking excessive alcohol, you have to moderate yourself. If you are within the excessive weight gain category, you have to work out improve your diet, and try to make sure that you're within the right weight for your height. So that will definitely improve your sperm count.
I think you've actually touched the question that we've been asked many times, including today. Does the size of a man relate with the size of his sexual organs and therefore their sexual function? Does it have a bigger effect even up to the brain, the master organ that we talked about?
No, it doesn't, because we know there are several populations in the world where they are what we would call pygmies, and they do have a very, very, very...
They're firing ways.
Yes, they're very quite fertile. You know, they even have very high birth rates. Eh? Okay. So things about size, shape, magnitude, muscles and all that really has no role. Indeed, one thing that you mentioned that I need to really touch on is sexual prowess, which one would say performance in bed has no indication as to whether you're fertile or not. In fact, people many times misrepresent fertility as sexual prowess or performance in bed. So the two are quite different.
So it may not be graded as a very excellent performer, but have a big family.
Thank you very much. Yeah, indeed, we don't want to talk about performance. We're talking about fertility. Those are two separate things.
They're two separate things. Okay, I get it. Oh, keep your questions coming in, and we hope that you are enjoying this show. But most importantly, we hope that at the end of the day, you will have found a solution for some of the problems that you could be having. And we wish you the best joy when you finally get that problem solved. The Doctalk Show with Dr. Jagend and Joseph Ogavu, your host for tonight. We'll see you soon after this short break.
The Ministry of Health informs the general public that during this COVID-19 pandemic, we should not forget to take our children for immunization. Parents and caregivers are reminded that the immunization services are still accessible at all government health facilities. Please take your child for immunization on time. All vaccines are safe, effective, and free. Remember to observe the COVID-19 prevention measures as you go for immunization services. Wear a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose. Wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water, or use an alcohol-based sanitizer. Maintain a physical distance of at least 2 meters from others and avoid crowds. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from partners.
You are watching the Doctalk Show. You are watching the Doctalk Show.
All right, welcome back from that break. Here with the Anthony Kaila, your fertility specialist from Life Sure Fertility Center. I have a question here, Anthony, and people are asking, are there some drugs? Because people keep taking drugs, medicine, some of them written by healthcare workers, some they even ask about vaccines. Are there some of these things that can actually cause infertility?
One specific drug are what they call the anabolic steroids. I don't know if our viewers are very familiar with, but those who use them would know them. These are the drugs we use to kind of buff up our muscles. Most people who do bodybuilding, some of them, I wouldn't say all, do use those supplements. Yes, as much as they're very good in buffing up the muscle, or bulking up the muscle, they have one significant drawback. And that is, they tell the other master gland we talked about, the master messenger, that all is well.
Things are fine.
You see, the most important message or messenger in formation of sperm is the hormone we call testosterone. This hormone is produced by your testes, but it's produced at the control of the master gland. The master gland tells it we need more or we need less. So since most of the formulations for these bodybuilding drugs contain some version of testosterone, it is telling the master message sender or the master gland that all is well.
You don't need to produce anything. This person is able to produce sperm.
Yes. And yet, unfortunately, these drugs, the modifications of testosterone, cannot support formation of sperm. So indeed, you buff yourself up to attract the ladies. But when you get the ladies, you cannot actually...
I'm sure they would say that they do it for other intentions. But the anabolic steroid is actually part of the banned substances.
Yes.
Especially in sports.
Yes.
Okay, I get it.
Yes.
So well, we've seen the many causes and what could go wrong. But what can be done to make sure that someone, despite having this problem, can actually get better? Is there hope? What are you going to do?
Yeah, so help starts with us. As I mentioned at the beginning of our very nice show, is how do you define, do I have a problem? So if you are in a relationship where you're having frequent sexual intercourse, frequency...
What's frequent? Yes,
yeah,
I wanted to
the
ask.
definition of frequency is at least 3 times a week.
Not 3 times a night.
That is irrelevant, unfortunately.
That needs to come out clearly.
Yeah, yes.
I see many people walking and praising themselves.
Yeah.
They do so much and they eat this to achieve
Yes.
the targets. So the number of times a night or a day, for that matter, does not matter.
It doesn't matter. At least 3 times a week. You can have more, but at least means that that is the lower limit, the bare minimum. And you've been with this, you've probably lived with this person and you have at least 3 times a week. And in a period of about 12 months, there is no child. Go for a checkup with your partner. And make sure you go with your partner. As I said, half of the times the problem is with the man, and the other half, the problem is with the woman.
You're asking for too much from our people, because many people would rather sneak into your consultation room than disclose their probable infertility to the partner. Is there a stigma?
There is significant stigma, and you see, the women have carried the burden of abuse, stigma, being ostracized from communities for quite a long time.
In fact, the Bible has so many stories.
Yes, yes. Yeah, childlessness has always been blamed on the woman. And there are 2 sides. It's a double-edged sword. As much as it has hurt the women, but it has hurt the men more. Because the men have not been given an opportunity to understand and adapt to such challenges. Okay. So many times when us men, we get this news, we are devastated. But if we continue having shows like this and more awareness about the role that men play in having children in a family, and that problems can also arise from the man, our understanding and our acceptance of such problems when we are told we have one will be better.
Great. So the men, we realize that we actually have a bigger role than we have thought before. And what happens when you walk into your room, Anthony?
So when you walk into my consultation room, what we do typically is take a good history about the length of the relationship, the duration with which you've wanted to have children but you actually have not been. We also talk about the times that you've had sexual contact. And if you have any other diseases, conditions, we also ask about your lifestyle, smoking, alcohol, the drugs you are on, and any other challenges. Have you had children before? Is this just a lag that is happening now? Do you have other children elsewhere in other relationships?
Yes, it's quite common actually. You've seen families who they say the man has children elsewhere and the woman has children elsewhere, but they cannot have
children together.
Are they allergic to each other?
No.
Is there such a thing?
There's no such a thing as allergy.
There's a question that's...
When you investigate, you almost always find a problem. There's a small proportion of patients where there's actually no identifiable problem with the woman or the man. We call that unexplained infertility. It's quite a small proportion, but it also has interventions that can try to help with that situation. Okay. So one of the main tests that we do for men is the semen analysis. It's actually will be the only test we do. It's not a very good predictor of current and future fertility, but it's our best bet at a window opportunity to look into the production of sperm and to see if there are problems. So when you hear about semen analysis, the doctor wants to know what is happening in the factory. And when they're looking at the factory, the things they want to know is how many sperms are there really? Are they moving? Because sperms have to move to the egg. Are they of the appropriate shape? Are they able to survive outside the body? Since you have to deposit them in the female genital tract. And
Which is said to be quite hostile.
Yeah, it is quite hostile.
It looks for the strongest.
Yes, only the strongest survive. And And that is exactly what the seminarisis is trying to look for. It doesn't mean that if you have a slightly abnormal seminarisis, you can't have children. But if you have 12 months of uninterrupted sexual intercourse with your spouse, and you don't have any child to show after all 12 months, and then you have a slightly abnormal seminarisis, chances are that there is actually a problem that is happening.
So all these tests you can actually do here. You don't need to send someone abroad. You don't need a visa. Even medicine restrictions, one can still have this done.
Yes, these tests are done in many labs. At Life Shore Fertility Center, we do seminarisis all the time as one of the primary assessments for men in couples that are having challenges in having children. So many labs actually right now, it's a standard test to find. I'm not asking men to go out and start doing a seminarisis and then see how they start. It shouldn't be a prerequisite for marriage. Where is your seminarisis? No. If you're having challenges, and I define that as 12 months or more, sex that is frequent with your partner, and there's no child.
And what do you do when you find that I probably have a small problem or a big one at that? How do I proceed now?
Yeah, so I'll leave that into the hands of the medical practitioner who will see you, because that is a very extensive topic to discuss. The most important thing is the awareness, that knowing that if I have a problem, what needs to be done, and then leave the rest to us for that discussion.
Okay, so but it's possible that even one that may be infertile, so to speak, they can get treated and get back to normal, or if you can't get back to normal, they can get a means of getting a child.
Yeah, actually I would say there's a solution for every male infertility problem. No one should be rendered childless in this current generation.
Great. So you out there, Dr. Anthony Kaila, and I'm sure he's not alone. There's quite a number of specialists that are doing this, and you can get to them. The number is running down your screen. You should be able to get to him and to his practice. Keep those questions coming in as we go into this short break, and we are glad that your questions are coming in and you're following us in big numbers, record numbers, by the way, on our YouTube page, Facebook, as well as Twitter. Dr. Jagenda Joseph Ogavu, it is the Doctalk Show. See you shortly.
Show profiles Uganda's healthcare sector. On the Doctalk Show today, like a first car on a mission, the Uganda National Health Laboratory Services is on a mission to provide accurate, reliable, and dependable diagnosis to disease prevention, management, and control. As the experts explain in the following expose.
I'm Dr. Charles Chiyaga, the Director of Programs, Partnerships and Global Health at the Department of Laboratory and Diagnostic Services at the Ministry of Health. I coordinate all the programs that link into the department.
So my name is Dr. Caroline Achola. I work at the Central Public Health Laboratories, Ministry of Health, and pathologists. We are laboratory-based physicians. We work in the lab to bridge the gap between the lab and our clinical colleagues, and especially in the areas of non-communicable diseases, especially cancer diagnostics.
So everything that you've seen, that, for instance, the testing that is happening in the labs here, the programs that coordinate these programs that run the testing go through my department.
We are aware the trend of the disease trend is changing globally, and even in Uganda. We are noticing a rising trend of non-communicable diseases compared to the communicable diseases that we commonly know, the HIV and the infectious diseases.
So I coordinate programs like the HIV programs like EID, viral load, hepatitis. I coordinate sickle cell. I coordinate virtually all programs, connect the department to the different units within the health system.
What that means for the lab is that we have to put in place services that are going to be able to provide surveillance, disease diagnosis and monitoring of patients who fall in these groups. In Uganda, the most common non-communicable diseases in order of precedence are cardiovascular diseases, metabolic diseases like diabetes mellitus and other metabolic conditions, respiratory diseases, and cancers that come number 4. So there is a need, especially for cancers in developing countries, to have screening services strengthened. At the laboratory here, actively participate in cervical cancer screening through the different modalities that are available.
So this is the department that links with the other stakeholders. This is the department that links with the other stakeholders that we work with. I also coordinate our partnerships. We work through partnerships. So all the partners that are working with the department, I coordinate them and I link the department to the partners.
We are doing HPV DNA testing for all women, both HIV positive and those who are HIV negative. And the services have now been decentralized to the facilities, to public facilities who are able to run the tests, and depending on the results, the treatment or the management will be accorded to all these women, and that has been adopted by the country, and that's what we are using. We also do flow cytometry, which is a form of testing in diagnosing blood cancers that is more robust and more specific, that gives us a chance to treat appropriately our people, children and adults alike, who may be diagnosed with these cancers.
But I also coordinate the global health efforts, things to do with global health security and any health related challenges that link with global health. I also coordinate that. So basically this is the department that connects the doctorate that connects the department with other programs and with other partners and stakeholders, both locally and globally. And that's what my directorate works on.
For women out there, cervical cancer is preventable, and we can prevent this by screening all women who are between the ages of 25 and above, for those who are living with HIV, and for those who are HIV negative, we can start the screening from 30 years of age. Young girls between the ages of 9 to 13 can be protected from getting cervical cancer by being immunized or vaccinated against the human papilloma virus, which is now a known cause of cervical cancer. So the community health program at the National Health Lab Services that is committed to expanding, reaching out to the laboratory users to provide them with the information that they need to utilize the laboratory services. And these people include patients and clinicians. So as part of our engagement, we have different approaches. We've engaged in campaigns with faith-based organizations, community-based organizations, clubs that promote health activities, engaged the Rotary, and our aim in this is to raise awareness, to demand create for the laboratory services that we offer. We use it as a chance to showcase the services that we offer, but we also use it as a chance to screen and diagnose patients who may be out there. As I earlier said, surveillance and diagnosis is one of the roles that we take very importantly, because about 70% of medical diagnosis rests on the lab. So this is our approach that we have done, and we have managed to screen during these campaigns. We've managed to screen people for the different diseases, HIV, sickle cell, syphilis.
You are watching the Doctalk Show. You are watching the Doctalk Show.
Very interesting topic, actually, and for our viewers, we don't usually put a discretion, but I think some viewer discretion is advisable given the nature of questions that we are going to ask, and Dr. Kaira faces many of them. I'll do my best to be as moderate as possible to keep all of you glued. So now, question here, Anthony. If the man gets to the climax, does it mean that he stands no chance of being infertile?
Oh, very interesting question, Dr. Gavos. So we need to separate three things. Ability to have sex, semen, which people call amazi. When a man ejaculates, you see that semen, and sperms.
Yeah.
The sperms float within the semen, mumazi.
Okay.
And then, once you have sex, you deposit the mazi or the semen, which may or may not contain sperm, into the woman's reproductive tract.
Okay, so getting to the climax does not mean that you deposited sperm.
Yes.
And good quality sperm.
Yes,
That.
that's very true.
Okay.
So being able to ejaculate doesn't mean that you won't have a problem with getting children.
So you should see the doctor for that. Great. Brief, precise, and you manage the language very well. We bring you another. If you command good Luganda and you walk around the city or any small trading center, and in fact, if you've been to the petrol stations and you go to have a call, to respond to a call of nature, you read so many placards on the walls that if you had masturbation in the past, your chances of getting infertile are actually very, very high. Tell us, Mr. Expert.
So let me first demystify this. Masturbation as an act has no direct association with inability to have children. Remember, I said semen, which contains sperm, and ability to have sex. But there's one caveat. Call it a disclaimer. If masturbation as an act causes some degree of resentment towards your female partner, that makes the sex infrequent and masturbation more frequent, such that the other frequent sex part we talked about, at least 3 times a week, becomes 0, 1, or never.
In fact, I've heard of couples that where one is reporting the other of denying them the conjugal rights, choosing to have masturbation.
Yes. If masturbation as an act leads to that, then at that point, masturbation gets associated with inability to have children. But if masturbation occurs and sex with the female partner still occurs, there's no direct association. Masturbation in any way doesn't make you less able to have children. But if it does affect your frequency, you have sex with your female partner, then that will affect your ability as a couple to have kids.
Okay. And then there is this one that men will always keep fertile from the tender age of 12 up to when God calls them, even 130. The man's fertility never reduces.
That is actually also one I would like to demystify. So, yeah, as much as you might find one of those men, 60 years, gets a child, 70 years, gets a child, 80, 90, there are not very many men. As much as the decline in fertility in men is not exact, it is not straightforward, I would say. You cannot choose a few men and be able to determine or predict it. We know that after the age of 40, with every subsequent 10 years, your ability as a man to get your wife pregnant reduces. If you are able to do it with one sex act, now you will need maybe a month of sex.
Okay.
Maybe you need 2 months of sex. Maybe you need 6 months of sex. You see? And when you get into your 5th decade, the decline continues. So yes, there are a few men out there, call it random, who have children beyond the age of what? 50. But there are not many. There are not many. So indeed, age has a role to play in the decline of male fertility.
All right. Dr. Kaila, you have a few more questions to answer here. We hear about hernia or any swellings in the male genitalia. Do they affect not function per se, but fertility? Is it affected, and is there a need to worry if one has a bigger size than the other?
As I said earlier, all you need is sperm. How it gets in is definitely can be different.
Okay.
But as long as the sperm can meet the egg. So
and the matter of the hernia?
The matter of the hernia, that if you have a hernia, hernias do not cause infertility in males. They don't. Just seek medical care and have it recorrected. It doesn't cause any problem.
But I imagine it would probably make it more difficult for you.
Depends on the size of the hernia. It can be small, it can be big, but definitely a person who has a hernia that is currently strangulated cannot engage in sex, can they?
Definitely. It becomes a secondary matter.
Yes.
So take advice, get that one out of the way,
yes,
so that you can be able to make a good choice. Again, being a man of the streets, I walk around and I hear so many things that our country is blessed with being advertised as good for increasing fertility. Yeah, kukumanga, morondo, many chewing around and drinking one energy drink or the other. Are these things that are going to help reduce infertility, or may they actually be increasing it?
Yeah, for a very long time in Africa, even the world over, male fertility and infertility, to say, has been a subject of a lot of speculation. This helps, that helps, that helps, that helps. But right now, we are only beginning to understand. You see, even science was biased initially. They focused so much on trying to understand the female, thinking it was the only
stereotype.
Thank you very much. There's a stereotype in science. Now there's a lot of awareness, and we are suddenly beginning to understand. We're only beginning to understand how sperms are actually produced. As a result, there is no study that has proven that any of the herbs that we are currently consuming has an impact on your ability to have children.
Okay.
Whether it reduces it or it increases it. There is no association with the current herbs that people are taking. So I don't know why they are taking them. Maybe they're taking them to improve on their sexual prowess. That will be a subject for another discussion. But in terms of male fertility, there is no improvement if you're on those herbs, and there is no decline as such. The only thing you can do is seek professional medical care if you're having challenges having children.
So at the end of the day, it's all about the semen and whether it has good quality sperm that is able to meet the female egg and fertilize and get that baby to grow and give you a new generation. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, time is running out quick on this very important topic. I'm sure Dr. Kaila will be very glad to return to answer your other questions. Give us your take home.
So my take home will be the statement that I mentioned first. Be vigilant and don't waste time. Don't spend time gossiping about the challenges you have. If you've been in a relationship with frequent sexual intercourse for at least a year or more and there is no child, you and your partner should seek professional medical care. There may be no problem, or there may be a problem that is best dealt with earlier. It will save you a lot of money to have professional diagnosis and professional care than to go around trying all kinds of things thinking you may or may not have a problem.
So as they say, stitch in time
saves nine.
Good. Thank you very much, Dr. Anthony Kaila from Life Sure Fertility Center. And as you've heard it from the horse's mouth, really up to 50% of the times the male partner has a problem that needs to be addressed. So pick yourselves up and face the problem and seek the care of those experts that are available. Perhaps your problem will be solved and the joy will come sooner than later. It is the Doctalk show that you've been enjoying. We are glad that you've had this time spared for us every week. Dr. Jagenda Joseph Ogabu, your physician and nephrologist. Till we meet next time, see you. Keep safe.
The Doctalk Show.
Bueno, yaba no mojo, yaba no wishi. I don't know. If it is a boy, I'm going to be calling Hakatabas. The garo retziret nyanaza kumani mig. Otio, ha, can't take anything grave. Ai, 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 ai. Riama katutumto. Ai, ai, ai. Yashwazara mwisho. Sleep like a baby at home. Yeah. Thank you.
Katoto. Hold on. What about immunization?
No. Nga. Immunization bossy. Tuza kuchikoro wanyi.
Katoto, your son is a citizen of Uganda now. Atogo no mwana witu. Our government has assured that all these essential vaccines, they are free. To Asasude.
You mean immunization is free?
Yes. So we have made sure that there are several health center units where you can take Katabazi and he gets essential vaccines. Before Katabazi reaches the age of 13, he will need to receive immunity against polio.
Polio? Whooping cough.
Tetanus, measles.
Yamawe, measles,
hepatitis, influenza. No. The government will even support you by giving you free mosquito nets to help fight against malaria.
Umwana kazarerwa.
Yes.
Amurere maura. Down the corner. Yeah, yatunga immunization.